Let's subtract mixed numbers with renaming. So we're going to do some subtraction with renaming. And there's two ways that you can do this. The first way I call renaming way number one. And what we're going to do is we're going to rename, make it equal, still be an equal mixed number, but we're going to rename the first mixed number. So we've got 5½ minus 1 2/3. Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to have a common denominator. We can't subtract these guys. Remember, we're going to ignore the whole numbers for right now, and we're going to work on 1/2 minus 2/3. And so I'm going to come way over here, and I'm going to do my big M. And remember, my denominators are 2 and 3. We skip count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12, and I can stop because I know right away that my LCM is going to be 6, which means 6 is my LCD. So I'm going to change 2/3 into 6 and 1/2 into 6. Now most of us already know, or you should know, that 1/2 is equal to what? Yes, it's equal to 3/6. Okay, now we're going to change 2/3, and as we multiply by 1, or 2/2, we come up with 4/6. So now my new fractions, or my new mixed numbers, are going to be 5 and 3/6 minus 1 and 4/6. Notice I brought my whole numbers back. Okay, I ignored them at first, but now I've brought them back. Now I'm finished with this whole problem. Here is my new subtraction problem. So let's look at it. I can do 5 minus 1, but I cannot do 3/6 minus 4/6. 3 is smaller than 4, and I can't subtract that. So here's where we rename the first mixed number. So just like regular subtraction, I can regroup. And I can come over to my whole number, and I can take a 1 away, and that's going to leave me with 4. Now, as I bring that 1 over, because remember, I want this number to be bigger. As I bring this 1 over, this is a 1. As I bring him over, I have to turn him into a fraction. Okay, but he's still going to be 1. I can't just turn him into 1/6 or 2/3 or anything like that. He has to be a 1, like 2/2 or 5/5 or 7/7. But I want him to be 6/6, okay, because I want the denominator to be the same. Now this 1 that I took away is right here, because 6/6 is equal to 1. Now I can add these two guys, right, because I want this fraction to be larger than this one. So if I add 3/6 plus 6/6, that's going to give me 9/6. Now I can subtract these two right here. Okay, I can do 9/6 minus 4/6, which is 5/6. And then I can go to my whole numbers. 4 minus 1 is 3. And so 5½ minus 1 2/3 is equal to 3 5/6. Let's try another one. So we're going to try 4 2/9, and we're going to subtract 3 1/3. Okay, well, my denominators are different, so I come over here with my big M, and I skip count by 3s, 3, 6, 9, and as we've learned, we can circle that number at the top of the M. That's my LCM, which is 9, and it's going to become my LCD. So the great news is I don't need to change this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change 3 1/3. I'm going to change him into 9s. And so I know I can multiply by 3 as well as in the numerator, and so 3 9s. So now my new problem, and I'm going to bring the 4 2/9 over here, and then my new problem is 3 3 9s, making sure I have a common denominator. Now let's rename the first mixed number. And why? Because I cannot subtract 3/9 from 2/9. 2/9 is too small to subtract. So I need to regroup. So I'm going to come over here to my 4, and I'm going to take a whole away. So that's going to leave me with 3. And as this 1 comes over into what I call fraction land, he has to turn into a fraction. But I want him to stay as a 1. Well, my denominator is 9, so I want my numerator to be 9. And that is a whole. So I can add these two guys, and that gives me 11/9. Now, yeah, it's an improper fraction, but now I can subtract, do 11 minus 3. Okay? And 11 minus 3 is 8. And it gives me 8/9. And then I can do 3 minus 3, which is 0, and I can just leave it like this, 8/9. Okay? So that's renaming way number 1. Let's look at renaming way number 2. And what that's going to be is when we rename both mixed numbers as improper fractions. So we're going to change both mixed numbers into improper fractions, then do our subtraction. So here's a good example. We're going to do 4 1/8, and we're going to subtract 1 1/2. Okay? Again, different denominators. So let's do our big M quickly. Put our 2 and our 8. Count by 2's. 2, 4, 6, 8. There's my LCM, which will become my LCD. So the good news is I do not need to change him. So I'm going to change a half into 8s. And hopefully we know that half of 8 is 4. So we've got 4 8s. Okay, and I can bring my 1 over here and make him 1 4/8. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite my whole problem. So I've got 4 1/8, and I've got 1 4/8. I'm going to subtract that. So now I look here and I say, you know what, I'm doing 1 minus 4, or 1/8 minus 4/8, and I can't subtract that. So I'm going to rename both mixed numbers as fractions, improper fractions. So what I do is I'm going to take the whole number and I'm going to take the denominator and I'm going to multiply them. Okay, I'll zoom in so you can see that a little better. Okay, then whatever my product is there, I'm going to add to the numerator, and I come around this way as I do it. Now my denominator will always stay the same. It'll be in 8s. So I do 4 times 8, which is 32. 32 plus 1 is going to be 33. So now I'm at 33/8. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to multiply my denominator times my whole number, and then I'm going to add my numerator. So I'm going around in a circle this way. So I do 8 times 1, which is 8, and 8 plus 4, which is 12. And that gives me 12/8. Now I can subtract, because I have a larger number up here and a smaller number here, so I can do 33/8 minus 12, which gives me 21/8. Okay, now 21/8 is an improper fraction, so I have to convert that. I have to change it. So I'm going to come over here, and remember this is a division problem, 21 divided by 8, so 21 divided by 8. Okay, and we know that 2 cannot be divided by 8, so that's a 0. But 21 can be divided by 8, and it looks like it can work 2 times, because 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24, which is too large. So I'll put my 16 here, and I will subtract, do some regrouping, and there's my remainder. Now remember, this is my whole number, my numerator and my denominator. So I say, as I'm making my little popcorn method, I say the fraction of myself. I say 2 and 5/8. 2 and 5/8. And I rewrite it, 2 and 5/8. So there's my answer to renaming mixed numbers as improper fractions, 2 and 5/8.